Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I want to give you an update on the fish room build and some of the challenges we've had facing building the fish room, what we're doing about it, how we're going to work things, how we're going to do things, just rundown of how this is all going to set up. As you can see, challenge number one is this space is still acting as like storage for my tanks, different things we're still gonna be using in the garage. So let me give you a rundown here. So on the front of my garage, it's split in, excuse me, it's split into two doors. So what all I am doing is putting a wall down one aisle of it. And I'm sorry if you can hear the air compressor. We're still doing major projects on the house. But so we were enclosing in kind of half of the garage. Now, if we come down, we're only going about 11 feet into the garage because I have filtration for my house, my water main, freezer, but I still need this area to store saws, tools, household items. And then the door, we actually found a used door on Facebook where the framing went all the way up, but the door was too tall. It wouldn't actually push past the garage door opener. So I had to cut it down, modify it. But now it comes into, the other challenges are water, power, lighting, everything we're gonna do. So the plan here is, let's say we're building a wall down the center, a wall over, but now I also need to make sure this garage still closes. We are gonna have tanks right here where the garage comes down. It's about 9 feet from that wall to my wall I built. So I'm gonna have two 4-foot racks that go here, and then we're gonna have a 6-foot rack, a 6-foot rack, and then right in this corner, we should have about a little bit of space there where I can put a rack of 20s. But then the door is gonna swing in, and we built it to where this rack will come up just about there, so the door will swing in, miss it. And I also think we may end up putting a rack, and actually this stand here, down the center and put 10s or 20s. So the plan was originally to do 20 gallons right here, 20 gallons, 40 breeders over here, 55s with 29s. What I think what I'm gonna do now though is 20 gallons here, 40 breeders over here, 20s and 20s to provide more grow out space and just more breeding room. And all while building this, I still gotta play dad. But the weather here in Texas is cooling off, so it's much nicer to come out here and build. Okay, so there's kind of the rundown of the fish room. Now the power for the fish room, where this garage light is plugged into, I'm gonna unplug this with the garage door opener, unplug that. I'm gonna run lighting up on the ceiling from that. But the other thing we had to remember too though is we brought this wall down. The light for the main garage is right here. So I really couldn't bring my wall through it. So I'm splitting this. So, and then the overall power is the electrical outlet on the back of the garage. There's no outlet on this wall. There's no outlet on this wall. As I'm gonna run I'm gonna have to run extension cords in so I'm very conscious of how many lights we're gonna be running in here. The goal is to heat the room and cool the room versus heaters in each tank. So the reason I'm also building it this way is I wanted to show everybody how you can build things, how you can do things versus, anybody can do this, right? Anybody can do this. It's super simple. I'm keeping this simple, and my focus is not necessarily the budget going into making the walls look super pretty. My budget is going into making sure the tanks are set up properly for breeding fish and how I want them. So no auto water change, nothing crazy like that. We're gonna focus more in on setting up, environments for the fish and put the budget towards that versus the budget towards making these walls look, super pretty, super perfect. So we're using leftover drywall that I had from house projects. I bought a door off Facebook Marketplace actually, and then we started packing in tanks, getting ready and all that. So insulating these walls, we're actually gonna use this 1-inch foam board. It's a little cheaper actually than buying full rolls of insulation, and these are 4x8. So I built, you can see my studs are not code 16 inches apart, but because I'm also building this in my garage, I got to build it to what I needed it to be. So I built it the sheet of insulation, snug right in. Cut it down to fit in, cut it down to fit in, cut it down to fit in, cut it down to fit in. But then I'm also going to use it to line the inside of the garage. This exterior wall, I don't know how well insulated it is, and we will have little gaps that we're going to kind of spray foam in to insulate it the best we can. But it's honestly, this amount of foam cost me less than it would if I bought rolls of insulation of the fiberglass. So it's not a perfect insulation, but it's going to do the job. Now, the other thing was getting water into the fish room. So my water main does come in on the side of my garage right here, and I thought about tapping into that. But then my wife reminded me, though, that we have an HOA, and I was going to build a false wall, like a 2-foot false wall right here for the garage to sit on, and then run a drain line out, and then drain it out over here, and also exhaust my dehumidifier and air conditioner here. But she told me, she's like, we have an HOA, and they're super, super picky. Like, we had to paint our front door. We had to put in an application to get it approved. So we're kind of building this, I mean, you can obviously see it, when the door's open, but we're kind of building this secret where HOA can't mess with me on, I have piping coming to my garage. So getting water in was another challenge we had to deal with. So tonight I'm gonna go pick up a big 275 gallon tote that is food grade safe. So it's food grade. I made sure that we're gonna rinse it, clean it. That tote's gonna sit back here and act as our storage container. So bringing water into the fish room is nothing new, but we're gonna do the big 275 gallon tote, fill that up with water. I already have a pump for it. That way we can run just like a Python system into the fish room to refill tanks. Now we need to get water out of the fish room. So I'm gonna run like a little sump down here. Just think of it like we're gonna put another little tote in this corner, or even over in this corner. Just something of, we're gonna hook up another Python to that system, put it in the tank, because pumps work both ways, right? Pump water in, pump water out. But instead of having to move a pump from tank to tank, I want a hose I just move from tank to tank. Then that pump will run out the door, and then when I'm ready to do water changes, I'll just run a hose around, out this garage, then into my lawn. So that way I'm watering my lawn, watering my plants, watering my trees, but then it's nothing again of like, there's no false wall here, there's no just random piping coming out. It's all a contained system. Big tote in the back, pump water in, smaller pump in the fish room, hooked up to a hose, then just hook up another hose, run it out to my lawn. So just to kind of give you ideas of what you can do for your fish room and how you want to build things is, my wife came up with the idea. She's like, why can't you just use a pump to run a hose to the lawn? But because I've never done that before, I didn't think of it. So that's why I'm excited about this fish room. Is it's a different way of doing it, right? It's no auto water change. It's much more simple. It's much more reliant on plants, environment, and dialing in tanks to match things. Super simple build, but I'm really, really looking forward to what we can do out of this fish room. I think we're gonna do some amazing, amazing things. Another reason I'm also building it kind of the way that I am is I don't know how long we're gonna be in this house. Meaning in roughly about 2 years, we're going to relook at our situation, reanalyze things, and decide if we're staying in Texas. We want to move to something different. We want to move to more country, downsize the house, but upsize the garage to pursue a dream of a fish ranch 5 times this size, 4 times this size. If we also decide in 2 years that after I get my licensing for my job is, do we go back home? Do we go back to Utah and do things there? So I'm also building this in a way of these walls. I can take all these walls down in a matter of hours. I can move all of these tanks out in a matter of hours. I can break all the racks down in a matter of hours. So it's a design to be, this can all be removed and it's gone. Because I ran into issues selling my last house in Utah that, oh, you built this random room in your basement. So that's another reason why we're doing this and trying to be cost effective on it, is I need it to be a way of budget friendly-ish, but also in 2 years after we crank out hundreds of fish in this, hopefully thousands of fish in this little fish room, that we can do something bigger. Now this is a bigger space than what I had in Utah, because right now it's 9 feet wide by 11 feet long. So we did add extra space, and I'm going to use all that extra space I can there. So a little longer video. Not super exciting, but hopefully it gives you some ideas of the challenges you may face building your own fish room, but also giving you some ideas. So things like enclosing part of your garage, using a tote as a water storage system, using a pump to remove water out to a lawn area. Just make it simple, but I also want to show you, just with simple processes, how many fish you can actually breed and still, do great things. So everybody, thank you for joining me on this one. Hopefully you found this informative, exciting. This is the new fish ranch we're building here in Texas. I'm very excited to be doing this, and hopefully here in the future, we'll be doing something on a much, much larger scale, because I came down here to chase a dream and I'm going to go after it. So thank you for all your support, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.